Do the Broncos need to add a tight end or a running back this offseason to give Bo Nix all the help that he needs? We, special guest alert, have your answers coming up right now. All right, Broncos country, welcome to it. Dover on Denver, and I want to talk some Broncos with you, but I brought in a big guest. I said it, special guest alert. My man, Kevin Kistner, is in the building, producer of the program, talent on KYGO, and just all-around good guy. What up, Kev?
Am I the first guest?
First guest.
I feel so honored.
First guest on Dover on Denver. And the reason I want to do it is because you're a producer of the radio show, help out, does a great job with us from 10 to 2, Cecil and I. And you came up with a bunch of numbers. I'm looking at your notebook right now. And instead of what we normally do, me just steal all of his information and make it mine and sound super smart, I decided, let's give the man some credit for the work that he did. And you did some great work. So it's about running backs and it's about tight ends. We know that the Broncos need help in both of those positions. Add that for Bo in his sophomore season. Who knows what this can be? You, me, Cecil, everybody in Broncos country that's watching the video and watched all these games, we knew that Sean didn't run the ball enough. We, as a show, put the number at 20. Give one running back 20 carries, let him establish some rhythm, routine, let the offensive line get some rhythm and routine in front of him, and see what that can do. And with that number in mind, the 20 carries, you got to work. And we found out that under Sean Payton, 20 carries for one running back in a game, it's pretty much not going to happen, Kev.
Well, so I went back and looked at all the Saints running backs back in the day under Sean Payton. And I went through the big names because there's maybe some fluke names that might get 20 carries. But Reggie Bush, he won a Super Bowl with Sean Payton. He was pretty dang good. Heisman Trophy winner. He carried the ball 20 times just twice.
Wow.
Deuce McAllister, big running back, just 6 times. I go further down the list, Mike Bell, Pierre Thomas, Chris Ivory. Mark Ingram actually led Sean Payton's running backs in 20-plus carries. In 107 games, he did it just 11 times.
Wow.
11. That I can't do math, but I think that's like 10% almost.
Yeah, about 1 every 10.
And then, obviously Alvin Kamara is a big name. In 73 games, he had just carried the ball 7 times.
Wow.
Now, he was also definitely big in the passing game.
He got the touches, just not the carries.
But the carries, it's not really going to happen for 20 carries for a Sean Payton running back. Javonte Williams did it for Sean twice, but that was that first year Sean had Russell Wilson too. With Bo Nix, no running back got the ball 20 times on the ground.
Yeah, what would he rather do? He certainly wants to run the ball more if Russ is the quarterback option. Yes. But when he got his Bo, well, he wants Bo to shine there. Now, when you say Mark Ingram is the most with 11, and again, once every 10 and a half, 11 games is when he's getting that opportunity. I started to think about, all right, well, you know what Mark Ingram is? He's kind of Audric Estime. Body style, right?
Yeah.
Ingram weighed a little less and was a little taller. Audric Estime is a little shorter, but a little bit bigger, bulkier, almost, if you will. So could it be Audric Estime that's that guy? Well, Sean didn't show any trust in Audric Estime. What was the most carries he had? Off the top of my head, he had like a 7 or 8 carry game once this season. So it doesn't seem to be him.
Well, and then come playoff time, we're all expecting Estime. I mean, for that Friday show, we're sitting there doing the prop bets. We're expecting Audric Estime to get the ball with McLaughlin. Then we come out Sunday morning, we find out he's not even going to play. He's a healthy scratch.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know who Sean Payton trusts. We hear after the season, the end of the season presser, Sean Payton basically comes out and says, yeah, we don't really have a running back. We never figured out the rotation. And part of it's like, well, you maybe let a guy get the ball twice in a row, but he never did that. So now the big question is, do they find one in free agency or the draft?
Well, and it still is, does Sean trust the guy enough? Is it still, bell cow running back that he was asked point blank about at the end of season press conference and said, I don't know that we're ever going to be that. I'm going to be running back by committee guy. That's kind of the lay of the land in the NFL. But like I said, man, routine, rhythm, the offensive line, you learn what that running back does. If it is Audric Estime, well, I know Audric Estime, when it gets a little tight, he likes to go inside left shoulder.
Right.
Just those little tendencies that nobody's ever going to learn because you don't get enough playing time with the guy behind you.
Well, and let me ask you this. Of the remaining teams, who's the backup running back for the Eagles? Off the top of our head, we don't know. Yeah. What about the Ravens? I don't know.
Well, I had him on my fantasy team. That's why I know it's Justice Hill.
Okay. I don't know. And I don't think a lot of people will know. You look at the Commanders. The only reason we know it's Austin Eckler behind Brian Robinson is because Eckler was a local guy.
Right.
The Kansas City Chiefs, we know it's Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco, but they're not really, one of them's really standing out compared to the other.
We have that weird guy that likes alligators, remember?
Yeah.
That's what I remember about him.
Number 42. I think he might have a mullet.
He has long hair.
But you really don't. You look at these backup running backs, the number 2 guys, we don't really know who they are. So maybe Sean should just look at this if he takes a guy like Ashton Genty and say, I don't need this running back by committee. I got my guy. Let's just let him be.
And that's today. So you get the Mel Kiper mock draft, the one of 9,000 that he'll do. And it's Ashton Genty at number 20 to the Denver Broncos. That solves a lot of problems. We're talking about a dude that just rushed for 2,600 yards at the collegiate level in his final season. But is he that bell cow? Will Sean trust him enough to be that bell cow? I mean, at this point, and learning the numbers from the research that you've done, I'm all for the Broncos going and getting a running back. I'm all for Ashton Genty, even at 20, or you got to go up to 14 or 13. I wouldn't be upset about that either. But I'm still very, very nervous that they go get Ashton Genty. And I'm still sitting in my living room this winter and fall on Sundays screaming at my television because Sean Payton's not running the ball. So should it really be that much of a priority if we now know who Sean is?
I want these players to make or to force Sean Payton to make the right decisions now. I mean, Bo Nix kind of forced his hand of in certain situations making him use certain plays. Let's get the running back forcing Sean to run the ball 3rd and 1 inside the 5-yard line. Hey, we can run it 2 or 3 times. We don't have to get into a play action play, get Bo getting mobile and forcing it to a fullback in the end zone. Yeah. I want to see these players force Sean to say, this is what I do best. Let's run these plays to help us get successful, like they did with Marvin Mims. Mm-hmm. We figured Marvin Mims probably not the best wide receiver out there, but he's a good weapon. He's a good joker role type guy. They forced Sean Payton to use him as that joker role right now.
Well, and I also think about it with all the numbers that you're coming from New Orleans with. We know his quarterback was Drew Brees in New Orleans. As good as Bo is and was in his rookie season, and if you don't know this, biggest Bo Nix supporter ever, if I talk bad about him, he might punch me in the face right here. But he's still a second-year quarterback, right? Yeah. So why would you not, like the evolution of Sean Payton, why would you not want to do something for your young quarterback so that when he does get to the level that Drew Brees was, you don't have to turn around and hand it off as much? It becomes an accessory at that point more than a requirement. It's a requirement right now in my mind.
Well, and think of what Drew Brees had his second year in the NFL. He had LT, LaDainian Tomlinson with the Chargers. Right. Maybe Sean could be like, man, Drew Brees in the second year, he had a lot of help. And if he sees Drew Brees and Bo Nix, then go back to the Charger days. Don't go back to your Saints days and help out Bo Nix a little more. I mean, what the guy did this year as a rookie quarterback with 0 talent in the run game, it's pretty dang impressive.
I mean, they went 2 consecutive years without a 100-yard rusher. That's literally hard. I don't know if you could actually try to do that and not do it. I guess you just never hand the ball off. But 2 straight NFL seasons and an NFL team does not rush for 100 yards in a game. That's criminal.
I don't know if you could even do that on Madden.
Probably not.
By accident, you might rush for 100 yards.
So we'd love to hear from you, Broncos country. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. But comment here. I want to know about what this looks like for the running back perspective. Do you need to go get an Ashton Genty, or are you like me, terrified that Sean wouldn't even use them in the right way? Comment. We'll circle back and always chat with you. Also wanted to talk about tight ends for a second because you did some research with the tight end group. Now, what Adam Troutman has done and who he turned into this year, fine as like a second tight end. You know what I mean? If you had Adam Troutman on your team as the other guy and you had a pass catcher on this other side, I think it'd be a beautiful setup, a great relationship for the offense, because you have the dude that can block first and foremost, but can go out and be a pass catching threat from time to time. Then if you got a real dude coming across the middle that can get you an advantage with inside linebackers, nickel corners, depending on the offensive look, that's where Bo can really shine. So I'm real hesitant to say running back's the first priority because I know who Sean Payton is.
Yeah.
That makes me then go to tight end, and tight end being that next big group. But can a tight end come in year one that's not named Brock Bowers or Kyle Pitts? Can they really come in here and make an impact, Kevin?
Well, it seems like it's happened a little more. Let's look at the hold on. I got my handy dandy notebook here. So I got some tight ends. I went back all the way to 2010 with first round tight ends, because when we were in the talks of drafting Noah Fant, we kind of did the research and it showed back then you don't draft a tight end in the first round. Now, Noah Fant came out as a rookie at 500 yards with Scangarello as his offensive coordinator.
That's a good rookie season, especially circumstances.
And then Vic Fangio fires Scangarello and ruins the development of Noah Fant and Drew Lock. But going back to 2010, it was Jermaine Gresham. He had 400 yards in his first year. Tyler Eifert, Eric Ebron. They didn't do much, but, they were high draft picks. Then we got to O.J. Howard in 2017. He had 400 yards, 6 touchdowns. Evan Ingram in the same draft, 700 yards.
Wow.
David Njoku, he's kind of had an up and down roller coaster career. He had 386 and 4 touchdowns, but there was still a lot of potential there. Then you go to 2018. The Ravens took Hayden Hurst. The Detroit Lions took TJ Hawkinson, who kind of fell off the cliff there in Detroit, but turned his career around in Minnesota. Noah Fant, 500 yards. Kyle Pitts, 1,000 yards in 2021. Dalton Kincaid in 2023 at 600 yards. And then now Brock Bowers, who had 1,100 yards this past year. So the last 3 guys have had 600 yards and 1,000 yards. Mm-hmm. Maybe the trend is turning to where you can draft a rookie tight end in the first round. The Broncos, luckily this year, there's 2 I think we both really, really like.
Yeah.
In the kid from Penn State, Tyler Warren, and then the kid from Bowling Green,
Harold Fannin Jr.
Harold Fannin Jr. If you haven't seen this kid, watch him.
You got to watch him. First of all, his name's Harold, and he was born in like 2002. That's unbelievable to me. Unbelievable. Certainly an honor to his grandfather, I hope. He's outstanding.
Yeah.
And as much as I go, I'm going to get away from the running back priority. It's still a need.
Yeah.
But I don't know how much of a priority it is on my list. Everybody's list is different. That's why sports talk is beautiful, because you can debate over everything. But with that in mind, that you've given me over 15 years, 2 tight ends that really have come in and made a huge impact. Those 500 and 600 yard seasons, that's a great rookie year for a tight end. But I would look at it like this. I love the idea of Harold Fannin.
Yeah.
If you can get Tyler Warren out of Penn State, like we talked about with Ashton Genty, you're not getting him at 20. You got to make a move to go up and get a guy like that. But if you can go get a Harold Fannin at 52, say it's your second round pick, right? You address either a running back in that first round, maybe some O-line depth, maybe some an inside linebacker would be outstanding. But you go and get a tight end with that second pick, or third if they feel like Harold will still be around. And then you address it in free agency. Because of that list, you're telling me that I go get a rookie tight end, the chances of him really contributing in year one are pretty slim. But being developed in the right way and then making a huge impact sooner rather than later, that's a good chance. And I like what I've seen from development. Look what they've done to Marvin Mims. I believe Devon Bailey and Troy Franklin, I'm going to cross my fingers on Troy Franklin, will show some more into year 2 because they'll develop the guy. So you go get a tight end in free agency. Maybe you do trade for David Njoku. Maybe Mark Andrews becomes available in Baltimore because he's due a new contract. Do they really want to re-up with Mark after it just cost him a chance to tie the game and force overtime in the postseason? I don't know. Those are Baltimore problems. Maybe their problems can become my solutions here in Denver. But I like this move. You go get a tight end in free agency or via the trade, and then you still draft Harold Fannin Jr. so that in a year or 2 from now, when this free agent tight end, maybe time to pay the piper, or he's getting a little long in the tooth, you have the luxury to say, see you, my man. we're going with the young fella.
And it's not going to be a bad problem to have.
No.
Hey, we have too many tight ends now.
I love that problem.
That's something we haven't said since Peyton Manning was on this roster. But then you talked about Harold Fanning and possibly in the second round. Don't forget what George Payton did to go up and get Javonte Williams. He packaged up quite a few draft picks and moved up in that, I believe it was the second round.
I think you're right. Second or third
to get Javonte, and because he really fell in love with him. The Broncos moved up to get Marvin Mims, I believe.
They went to the second round to get Marvin.
Second. Yeah. So they're not scared to go after their guy. And I was talking to Marcello over this past weekend or on Monday, and I said, I don't think Sean Payton is going to wait around anymore for his guy. We all know the story of him missing out on Patrick Mahomes back in 2017. Yeah. So he was one pick away from getting it, and the Chiefs jumped him. That's not going to happen now. I think even if it is Ashton Genty or one of these tight ends, Sean Payton's going to be like, no, I have to go have him. I need him. And if you want a joker role, Tyler Warren might be the perfect joker, quote unquote, role, because, dude, they're watching him. They're lining him up and like in the Wildcat formation, and he's jumping 3 or 4 yards into the end zone. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's fun to watch. He's kind of like Travis Kelce inside the 5, inside the red zone, where you get those shovel passes.
Exactly.
But then I also saw he was wearing number 44. That guy looks like Dallas Clark from the Indianapolis Colts.
In Mel Mock's draft today, guess where he goes?
To the Colts?
The Colts at number 14.
Look at this. Look at this. He's a perfect Colt.
So history will probably repeat it. So like I said, that's the you'd have to live at like 13 or 14. First, Ashton Genty would have to get past Jerry and the Cowboys at 12. And then you'd go 13 or 14. If you're in the business of Genty or Tyler Warren, that's where you're going to have to live.
And then you have to ask yourself the question too, is the Broncos, how close are they to a Super Bowl? Because if you're within that organization, you say, man, we're probably a year or two away still from being real contenders. Are you really trading your future draft picks already?
Right.
Now, if you're a team like the Chiefs or the Rams,
you go all in.
F them picks and you go all in and get that guy. So if you're the Broncos and you're saying Ashton Genty puts us over the edge this upcoming season, I'm okay with you packaging some picks, moving up. Well, maybe you're packaging a player in that trade and going up and getting him. If you absolutely love that guy, Sean Payton, go get him.
I'm with you. I think there's still the year or two. Okay. I think maybe 1. I'll go to 1 before they're full F them picks mode. Okay. One more year, and then I think I'll get there. My man, Kevin Kistner. Great work, dude. Thanks for coming on. First guest ever right here on Dover on Denver. We'd love to hear from you. Kev, make sure you're going back, talking to the people on YouTube. If you want a running back, who? If you want a tight end, who? And what position will help Bo Nix more so there is no sophomore slump. This has been Dover on Denver, and now we're done.